is why we had concluded upon the title of the event. But nowadays, I think we are facing much more issues to deal with than when we started the process of meeting here in Athens together and talk about common ideas and common thoughts about sociology today. Now, let me start with Arnold Sayles' introduction in his Sociology Today book, and I quote, as he said, we are living in a turbulent world, marked by fast, continuous social changes that affect the lives of individuals, families, communities, organizations, businesses, nation-states, and international networks. Nowadays, of course, we have to face geopolitical challenges and two distinct in content wars, one in European soil and the other in the Middle East. So the challenges and the dynamics have changed a bit, and we have to face these events also. Continuing Sayles' rationale about the turbulent world we are living, he says that fundamentally these changes commit contemporary sociology to being a science of change. In turn, this means that our work should effectively mirror this diversity and variety of transformations underway in today's societies and transnational spaces. In fact, much of the contemporary sociological writing internationally offers a cutting-edge understanding of what is happening in our life worlds, work lives, and frames of social existence, bringing up issues such as political turbulence, cultural and artistic dynamics, family changes, gender roles, migration flows, and social movements. International bibliography is a timely contribution that discusses transformation and globalization and their consequences in both theoretical and substantive terms. Our endeavor in the present meeting, however, is to unravel a number of past and modern trends in sociology that we should be aware of. One such trend is the increasing use of taxonomy in research. Modern trends in taxonomy are the classification and naming of things, and it has been found to be a valuable tool for researchers studying social phenomena. Another is modern trends in educational management. Educational management has become an increasingly important field of study as educators are looking for new and innovative ways to improve the education system. Research methods also present a modern trend. There has been a move towards mixed methods research, which combines both quantitative and qualitative data in order to get a more complete understanding of a research problem. At the same time, qualitative research methods are becoming more popular as researchers seek to understand the meanings that participants attach to their experiences in our turbulent world. And at the same time, quantitative methods are still widely used, but there is increasing recognition of the need to use more sophisticated statistical methods in order to get the most accurate results. There are many social phenomena that can be considered modern trends. Some of these include the increasing use of technology in all aspects of our lives, the globalization of economies and cultures, and the increasing diversity of populations. In terms of technology, we are seeing more and more people using it in their everyday lives. This can be seen in the way that people are using technology to communicate with each other, as well as the way that businesses are using technology to conduct their operations. For example, many people now communicate with friends and family via social media platforms, and businesses are using technology to conduct online transactions and to manage their operations. So we are faced with a new phenomenon, with the digital nomads. In terms of globalization, we are seeing a world where economies and cultures are increasingly interconnected. This can be seen in a way that people are traveling to different parts of the world for work or leisure, as well as the way that businesses are operating in multiple countries. For example, many people now travel to different parts of the world for work, and businesses are increasingly operating in multiple countries. In terms of diversity, we are seeing a world where populations are increasingly diverse. This can be seen in the way that people are interacting with people from different cultures, as well as the way that businesses are catering to diverse populations. There are just a few of the many social phenomena that can be considered modern trends. It is important to stay up to date on these trends so that we can understand the world around us. It is now more than ever that sociology has become an important tool in understanding social life. Modern trends have brought about various changes in the way we live and interact with others. In order to keep up with these changes, it is important for us to understand the impact of modern trends on social life. As we shall discuss in these meetings panels, sociology is constantly evolving and changing to reflect the changing world around us. While modern trends may seem like a daunting topic, it is important to stay up to date on the latest trends in order to have an informed perspective on the world around us. We hope this event will help in giving diverse audiences with an interest in sociology a broad overview of some of the most important modern sociological trends. Further, some exciting issues needing elaboration evolve around the following: understand the factors behind the news with sociological discussions of current events around the world, understanding the globalization of capitalism, understanding the gender pay gap and how it affects women, understanding the difference between prejudice and racism, understanding segregation today, understanding everything we need to know about anti-vaccines, understanding why we selfie. We also need to comprehend the historic stand on racism and police brutality, the causes of deindustrialization and their likely consequences, the challenges of ethical living in a consumer society, to understand culture jamming and how it can create social change, etc. It is time to consider whether we will gazing backward or looking forward between colonial modernity and decolonial modern sociology. As Lianos has put it, there are many challenges that sociology has failed to meet despite its efforts. Among them, a great principal challenge is that of becoming an influential discipline at the level of polity. Contrary to what one would have intuitively thought, sociologists are not being consulted either on framing the problems or on proposing solutions for change in contemporary societies. With some rare exceptions, sociology has not managed to establish itself as a science with reasonable authority on how human societies work. We often excuse ourselves for this state of affairs on the grounds that we practice a critical discipline. But the validity of this excuse rapidly deteriorates in a world where even the hardest of sciences produce paradoxical results and Nobel Prizes are awarded for discovering things that we have never seen. This is not, of course, a plea to naturalistic social science knowledge and sell it to governments as conventional wisdom for which there is no alternative, a route largely followed by mainstream economics. It is rather a plea to counterbalance that naturalization, which currently seems to be crucially damaging the entire planet and the society of Europe in particular. The essential paradox that is obvious to any sociologist is this: how it is possible that large parts of the wealthiest and most organized societies that ever existed suffer merely because a random market phase required this? Exclusion, insecurity, and malaise are rife in areas so attractive that people from other countries risk their lives and that of their children to reach. At the same time, it has become a normal condition that the value of global financial assets amounts to approximately 350% of the global GDP, while that of the annual financial transactions has reached almost 14 times the value of the global GDP. If there is a discipline that has the knowledge and the tools to fuel social debate on post-growth economy, post-democracy political participation, post-employment activity, and egalitarian planetary governance, this discipline is certainly ours. We are also largely in denial when it comes to developments in the biological sciences. Our excuse here is that these sciences produce simplistic understandings of human social behavior, where our understanding is complex and sophisticated. But there are very few colleagues who know what mirror neurons or place cells are and how these discoveries deepen our understanding of the social bond. Contemporary biological knowledge makes debates on cognitivism or methodological individualism increasingly obsolete. It is a time where we can share the sophistication of our tools and concepts with human biologists, ethnologists, and even population geneticists who are only at the start of understanding sociality and could clearly benefit from our analysis. If it is urgent to address these challenges directly, they are at least implicitly omnipresent in our production as a discipline. As I understand it, we should keep the specific remit to maintain plurality and openness across the European sociological community in terms of traditions, methods, and theoretical affinities. Our objective should be to expand that plurality with a cautious margin of innovation. European societies face today a number of serious uncertainties. Destandardized work histories not only generate deep anxieties over people's working years, but they also have crucial adverse effects in later life via reduced pension income. This precariousness is closely related to the change of employment models that generate discontinuous trajectories and in-work poverty. But increasing individualization does not redistribute the probability of poverty, which concentrates around specific social determinants. Not does it put an end to the intergenerational transmission of being in need of social assistance. And if that is true of the Nordic, let's say, countries, it is probably also true for other European countries. Finally, there are indications that self-attribution of educational attainment is becoming more reflexive, but those who do not particularly succeed still believe in the merits of individual effort. These are some thoughts and ideas open to discussion, just to open this event, and cordially welcome you in our forum, the Forum of the Hellenic Sociological Association, subsidized by the International Sociological Association, the Harokopion University, which hosts us here, the National Center for Social Research, and we are very grateful that you could make it and be here with us and exchange ideas about what we are thinking in the particular sociological associations of the countries of the European South. Thank you very much.
For the very inspiring presentation. It gave us a lot of food for thought for the next discussions, for the following rounds of the discussion, today and tomorrow. And I would like to invite Professor Mara Nicolaidou, who is the director of Harokopion University, to give us a short welcome. Thank you for answering positive to our invitation.
It's a great pleasure to welcome you all in Harokopion University of Athens. Especially the international travelers which came here in Athens with the hope of good weather, although we had a little bit of rain this morning. So as you may see, the weather is quite nice, almost summertime, and I hope you will enjoy your time here within this room and also around Athens. For us, it's a great pleasure to host in our university yet another event sponsored by the International Sociological Association. And we were very proud to also be part of the organization of the International Conference in the International Sociological Association, a great conference which was held 3 or 4 years ago. 6 years ago. Really? The COVID for me is is a period which I don't remember. It's like it didn't happen. So I'm very proud to be able to see you all again here in our university in this event, the International Symposium in Sociological Perspectives and Dynamics in Southern Europe. And this has to do with our region, and this is important for us, which is organized in collaboration with the European Sociological Association, the National Center of Social Research, of course, the Greek Sociological Association, and hosted here in our university. Let me say a few words about our university. If you haven't been here before, we are a small-sized research university. We are also a public university funded by the state. We are a university which is strongly dedicated in research, and we are very proud that we are highly ranked for our efforts in research. We are constantly ranked among the top 3 universities in Greece, based in both national and international rankings, and we are very proud that we are part of the Times Higher Education Index, and this year, for the first time, we were ranked for the social index as well, and we are ranked between the top 3 universities in Greece for social sciences as well. So congratulations to the colleagues which represent us in this discipline. Research is a very special activity. It is necessary if you want to educate properly your students. It is also a social activity because we have to come together to exchange ideas, and through the things we agree, and most valuably the ones that we disagree, move forward. So I believe this is a perspective well cultivated within the sociological sciences and of great value in this moment in time where great turbulence is around the world and very close to our neighbor from the north and the south, here in Greece, here in the southern part of Europe, with difficulties that we hope that we didn't have to face after the COVID pandemic. So how to work our problems together and how to find human resources capable of leading us to the future is quite an important issue. So I hope that with this in mind, you have a fruitful discussion here in our university, and I do sincerely hope that this effort will have a great success and you will have the time to also sightseeing a little bit around Athens. So welcome, and I hope you have great time here in our university. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Professor Nikolaidou for welcome. Let me say that Professor Nikolaidou is a professor of informatics, and it's important to have. Yes. But she's very fond of social science as well.
I have another engagement, but I hope I will have the opportunity to check upon you tomorrow.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I was saying that Professor Nikolaidou is also fond of social sciences. She's not of those scientists who are far away from social science. She always is supporting our events and our research, and it's very important. A university which is a university which aims in research, but it collects different types of sciences. It's worthwhile saying that. So let me invite Professor Georgiadou, Vasiliki Georgiadou, who is a professor in Pano University. She's also president of the National Center for Social Research. We are pleased to have you with us today, and we invite you to have a welcome to our guests.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the National Center for Social Research, which is supporting this international symposium, I would like to thank the organizers, the Hellenic Sociological Society, and the International Sociological Association, the organizing committee, and the president of the Hellenic Sociological Society Research Director, Dr. Iana Tsiganu. It's a great honor for me to welcome you to this symposium dedicated to sociological perspectives and dynamics in Southern Europe. The current global permanent crisis brings to the fore a number of social problems, and the challenge is not only to address them technically, which is extremely relevant and important and necessary to be done, but also to understand and mitigate the effects of crisis. In particular, the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the interrelated, multidisciplinary and intersectional background of the problems that crisis brought. Only by widening our knowledge beyond the technical expertise in a transparent and pluralistic way can the social nature of a crisis be grasped, be solved. The social sciences provide the tools and knowledge needed to address the complex social ecosystem in which we live. Among these, the role of sociology is fundamental, providing insights into the dynamics of human societies and their complex interactions. Sociology, as a field, has a wide range of applications in many aspects of contemporary life, addressing the challenges and opportunities of modern world. Sociology serves as a critical lens through which we can understand, interpret, and respond to the complex and dynamic changes taking place in contemporary societies. It also provides the analytical tools and frameworks to make sense of these changes and to contribute to the development of policies and strategies that can address all these challenges. Sociology is a fascinating discipline, the most fascinating of all the academic disciplines according to some scholars. It is also an integrative discipline in the study of human behavior, being in a trendless process of integrating the knowledge contained in many other disciplines. Social problems, trends, and perspectives have a lot of similarities in Southern Europe, which is the specific topic of this symposium. In the literature, there is the debate of the so-called Southern European model, which is updated with regard to the migration issue, in the study of which sociology is at the forefront. Another interesting point is the North-South divide, which was crucial during the financial crisis and I think is still vital within the European Union. Your symposium will cover a variety of highly relevant topics, including some of those I have already mentioned. Congratulations for this inspiring initiative, and I wish you every success with the proceedings of your conference. Thank you very much.
Welcome, which raises already some issues which refer to Southern European societies. Let me also say that one of the research networks of the European Sociological Association is RM Research Network 27, which is the Southern European societies. And this network of people is also very important because from this network of people we invited our guests, and they are the backbone of the Southern European societies. It's very important to mention that. And this is only to say that, mostly to say that the European Sociological Association is always supporting our events. We are glad to have the support of ESA as well, and to also this for me to invite Professor Lydia Ferro, who is the president of the European Sociological Association. Thank you for responding positively to our invitation.
My notes. Good afternoon. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes because otherwise I will speak too much. And I plan to speak for 10 minutes. Well, first of all, it's an honor to represent the European Sociological Association here. Of course, we always supported all the 38 research networks. And we have a new one proposed also by you, that was accepted, you and other colleagues. So we are growing also due to the work by the European sociologists from the south of Europe. So it's a big pleasure for me to be here. I remember very well the conference of the European Sociological Association in 2017, the 13th, right? Which was organized, the organization, the local organizing committee was chaired by Apostolos Papadopoulos. And well, that moment, I think it was key for joint networking in the field of European sociology, but also for Southern European societies and sociologies, let's say. Recently, I also had the honor to represent the ESA at the meeting of the research network. It's a regional network, 27 on Southern European societies, which was held in Lisbon in September. Also, we had Greek colleagues there, representatives from the Spanish Federal Association, the Italian Sociological Association, and I think this moment was also very important to reflect, to think about the specific challenges for Southern societies in Europe. These moments, from my perspective, are really crucial to think these societies and sociologies of the South. And of course, this moment continues this long work, this long way of working together. I think it's quite a recent trend in sociology, let's say in the last 6-7 years, to work together, all the sociologists from the South, and think about the specificities, the challenges, and what we can do together. I would like also, of course, to say thank you to the Hellenic Sociological Association for the invitation, particularly to Apostolos Papadopoulos. We were vice presidents of the European Sociological Association in the last mandate, so we work together, and it's always a pleasure to work together. So we know that we have a strong tradition of sociology, especially in terms of theoretical legacy, let's say. However, we know how European-centered really is the official history of sociology, despite the fact that the South, including the South of Europe, has been contributing so much to advancing sociology. I will not enter here a discussion on the global North and the global South relations, but just pointing out as a starting point that somehow the South of Europe has been excluded and included in both categories. The countries of the South of Europe are, as we used to hear, underdeveloped to be included in the global North, but also too developed to be considered as part of the global South. So this makes us a very special region of the world, let's say, and we are kind of in between societies and in between worlds, and this imposes particular challenges for us. That's why I think we need to join efforts to think together on our societies and what are the specificities of these societies. What are the main challenges? What type of configurations assume sociological phenomena here? Can we speak of a sociological tradition of Southern Europe? How public policies have been incorporating or not sociological knowledge in the Southern societies of Europe? What kind of public role has sociology been assuming in Southern Europe? So these are just some questions, and we have many questions that remain to be answered, and I'm pretty sure that this conference will provide some answers to those questions. I would like to just tackle some selected ideas. I'm not going to be exhaustive because we don't have time, wishing to bring some food for thought. So in what relates the common challenges of European societies of the South, we can highlight, of course, and the president of the Hellenic Sociological Association already mentioned, climate change is one of the main challenges for us. Look of this nice weather in November. We really like it. It's so pleasant, but at the same time, it's a worrying sign. And all the countries of the South have been facing this global warming in a different way from the center and the north of Europe, and also the floods and all the weather changes we have been experiencing. This has bring particular challenges to the societies, and we are going very slow in responding to the challenges of climate change. Also, the economic crisis. Also, we heard about the crisis. We are in crisis, but the southern societies are in crisis for a long time. It's not just now. So we have the economic crisis generated in 2008. This affected the countries of the south of Europe with more intensity, as we know. And there was a response in Europe based on divisions between north and south that were not productive, were not effective in overcoming the problems that we were facing in the past. And now that we have another challenges as the war, the conflicts, a new economic crisis due to inflation, etc., let's hope that Europe learned the lesson and that answers to the new economic and social challenges will be designed together, not based on divisions between the north and the south. I mentioned the conflicts and war in Europe and outside of Europe bringing social, economic, political challenges to Europe. And they are also very specific to the southern countries, especially migration and forced migration. The countries of the south face particular challenges in terms of migration flows. Of course, we have different or diverse patterns in terms of migration flows. We have, on one hand, Greece and Italy, for instance, with some similarities in terms of patterns. If we compare with Portugal and Spain, let's say. However, the fragility of the administrative and public services due to the crisis and everything that happened in the past in these countries imposed also particular tests in receiving newcomers and promoting their inclusion. So we must consider all the side effects of the lack of resources and that we have in our southern societies, also receiving these migrants. Then the last point I would like to highlight here, because I said I'm not going to be exhaustive. We know how traditional are the societies of the south of Europe, where family and religion continue to play a very, very important role. These features have been used in a very particular way in the context of the rise of authoritarian forces and also in the field of identity disputes based on gender, race and ethnicity, sexual orientation, other variables. So we remember, of course, all of us in the south of Europe, our not so ancient history where authoritarian regimes and dictatorships ruled our societies. It was not so long ago. These shadows are still present, and the configuration of extreme nationalisms, xenophobic and racist movements also imply specific trials for us. These are just some common challenges for the south of Europe and for southern sociologists that I would like, of course, to underline, because these ones, I think they are intensifying rapidly and somehow jeopardizing our societies. Southern societies. We know that sociologists from the south of Europe are contributing to analyzing this reality. So we are providing reliable data, we are imagining solutions. So I'm pretty confident, I'm pretty sure that this conference will be a vital contribution to showcasing the problems, knowledges, and also solutions imposed to the European South, let's say. Well, let me just finish saying that the main conference of the European Sociological Association is going to be held in Porto, Portugal next year in August, from the 27th to the 30th of August in Porto. And of course, I think that this will be another key moment to advance knowledge, to think about all these challenges for Southern societies. So I would like to invite you all to come to submit your paper. The call for papers will be open very soon in the following month. And thank you very much for inviting me. I'm looking forward for this wonderful conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, thanks to this Professor Ferro for addressing this conference. Let me only say that in relation to many things, he said many things, which of course they will be taken up in the discussions today and tomorrow. And you reminded me of two well-known outside Greece sociologists, social scientists. One is Nikos Muselis, who referred to the semi-periphery, to the south of Europe as the semi-periphery, such a kind of middle position between the north and the south, in a different period, comparing Greece, Spain, Portugal, Italy, with Latin American countries. There are some affinities, but it's important the discussion at that time, which is also informative for us today, that this semi-periphery is in between. It's not, we are the south of the north and the north of the south. So it's kind of geographical positioning, which for sociologists says something, but we need to think more intensely about that. And the other social scientist who was actually political scientist, Poulantzas, who also referred to authoritarian countries, Greece and the dictatorships of Greece, Portugal and Spain, of course, different types of dictatorships, different kinds of dictatorships, which he tried to find some common or relevant phenomena, social phenomena in these dictatorships. So these discussions are very important for us, and we spend a lot of time discussing these issues for the South. So thank you so much for the address. And let me also underline that the European Sociological Association conference next year implies that people will are allowed to submit their abstracts in the context of the different research networks. There are 38 research networks now. One, a very important research network for Southern Europe is RL27, mentioning the numbers for you to make the connotations. But I think these are important also research networks within the European Society. So this is very important. So I think now it's time to invite, I will invite, and then Christina will take the lead. Christina Karakilafi, who is going to convene the next session, which is mentioned, which is titled Institutionalizing Sociology in Greece. Nikolaos Tatsis, who is a professor emeritus from the National University of Athens. Yes. Of course. Please take a seat. The thing is that not make it because of Brazil, because of COVID. We only have his videotape presentation, which is only 12 minutes, 40 minutes. Allow me to play this video first, and then invite the rest of the people in the session. Sorry for this mistake, but καθόλου. Ποιο είναι? Ποιο είναι το...
I'm Professor Gian. I would like to apologize for not being able to be with you today, but COVID-19 has decided otherwise. So I would like to present you an approach about the distinction between national and transnational identities, taking into account the selective affinities of this issue to collective memory in the context of European identities. So in the disciplinary studies in the field of social sciences on issues of cultural characteristics and traits which constitute the perceived values on the part of European citizens, often point out that the perception of a European identity is shaped through the conscious differentiation of existing national identities and the change of culture in terms of self-definition, developing a non-competitive relationship between the national and the transnational and the dual consciousness of social belonging. A contrary development also signifies the impenetrable otherness of linguistic, national, regional differences, as well as the collective memory in the experiences of citizens in different European societies. So that national and cultural specificities prevail over a historical course of gradual homogenization on a common European map of values. A sensitive point in these issues of construction, recognition, and the broad acceptance of a European identity is the political semantics of this value map and how much it is instrumentalized by hegemonic tendencies of specific national, linguistic, economic, cultural, religious forces within Europe, but also how much such a development creates a priori an apathy to the very idea of a united Europe. But how clear are these ideals and what are these common values that are described as European? The 1973 Declaration on European Identity defined these values collectively for the first time, stating in particular the preservation of peace, respect for national cultures, democracy and the rule of law in the member states, social justice and respect for human rights. In essence, these are European values that embody in their entirety the principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights itself, adopted by the United Nations at the end of 1948, as well as the legal nature of these principles. So one of the most fundamental problems concerning the future of European integration and the facilitation of institutional integration is the issue of a common European identity, as identity primarily describes an individual and conscious sense of belonging and the specific characteristics that define a social group. In the past, the concept of identity was defined entirely collectively in the context of a cohesive community and a close bond in accordance with the mechanical solidarity suggested by Durkheim, where tradition, heritage, and homogeneity constituted the dominant element of its constitution and the boundary of distinction from other groupings and collective identities. At the same time, cultural identity and collective memory as interrelated concepts constitute a social environment of intimacy as events, performances, ancestral experiences, shared values, etc. In essence, the whole national biography as the symbolic of the imagined community is recalled in memory as a past that is transformed in terms of identity construction and is signified as the social history of nations. Identity also marks perspectives in the construction of the history as a symbolic construction of memory and the transition from symbolic to social environment. The shared experience of ideas, values, and historical interactions cannot be condensed into a simple, timeless formula, but also but are subject to reinterpretation by its succeeding generation. A crucial factor in the formation of identity is collective memory, as societies have their own history, not just as a past, but as a sum of cultivated and preserved experiences. In other words, the past itself becomes history and reaches a world of meanings and practices that societies may inherit their original core, which they transform as they respond to developments through knowledge and new experiences. The concepts people use, the language they speak, their emotional world, their beliefs and habits are imbued with history, familiarity, and tradition, which include more concepts and values that are creatively transformed over time. Collective identity itself does not imply a physical entity, but expresses the cognitive and emotional relationship, the trust and connection of people to an object of recognition, as well as the possibility of past memories being reconstructed and integrated into a synchronic frame of reference. These elements constitute mental representations, the hard core also of national identity. Despite modernity, familiarity with multiple social differentiations, facilitated mobility, mixed marriages, etc., it is the familiar social groups that continue to constitute and play a leading role as collective memory in the recall of identity components, whether they are time-resistant memory structures, for example, family, kinship networks, communities, etc., or informal and temporary structures. In the transition from communitarianism to sociality and modernity, this is the famous claim of Tönnies, new networks of relationship emerge and the phobic syndrome of otherness is more easily dealt with. So political culture is understandable as an intercultural identity and is a complex project and something that is under construction, building deeper trust relations between European citizens of different countries with a central focus on a common culture in terms of values and institutions, but also on a meta-national concept of European identity realized through the European citizenship. Consequently, the whole debate on European identity is linked to the fact that the European Union also cannot be transformed into a national state, nor can it easily be constituted as a supranational organization, that can retain the characteristics that we know constitute nation states with emphasis to collective, subconscious of belonging in an environment of familiarity. Thus, the European Union is called upon not only to derive solidarity and legitimacy from identity, but also identity from solidarity and legitimacy. Rational agreement can be extended substantially to issues of social recognition of difference. With this integration, European identity is further defined in terms of the notion of a political culture that prevails within a political community that highlights as a supreme value political equality with the simultaneous recognition of the different religious, ethnic and cultural identities of its citizens. It's a model of participatory democracy based on universal fundamental rights and equal recognition. On the other hand, in the context of the symbolic recall of memory for the construction of European identity, a leap must be attempted that will bridge a new emotional bond, which is organically linked mainly to national and cultural identity and is constituted by familiar experiences of the past. In this new construction, it is primarily not so much the deep emotional, but the rational argument of benefit expectations that prevails in a test of identity construction in a transnational European environment. Normative versions of values can be analyzed in attempts to define objective determinants, common history, geography, religion, culture, tradition, etc. So, we can go on. It's interesting that we don't have something called ethnoskepticism, but we have Euroscepticism. The interpretation behind the Eurobarometer finding that around 55% of Europeans identify exclusively with their own national identity, identify exclusively with their own national identity, while the rest only feel European in some way. This leads to some conclusions. However, alongside the European constitutional patriotism and legal constitution that could create an important contribution to the unification of social integration of Europe, also the symbolic identification with imagined community that acquire shared semantic content. Finally, the prospect of fulfilling the socio-political and cultural expectations of European citizens is just in a context of a reformed concept of European identity to the extent that the issues of collective memory and democratic expression found in the nation state model are transferred to an enriched public debate and as issues of identity at the level of the European Union. It is a project that proactively seeks to contain possible disappointments and frustrations in the transition from an identity based on emotional attachment and structures of community, nation and primary socialization to an identity of intercultural transnational values, which as a political culture corresponds to contemporary systems of multi-level democracy. The question of European identity can therefore not only be discussed in the context of an internal dialogue of the existing conditions that we Europeans form a domestic collective identity, but how this would correspond respectively to a unified identity with political culture, transnational values, and the nature of law at its core, which could emerge in the context of a new enlargement and accession policy. In conclusion, the strongest trend and at the same time optimistic outlook underlines the link between the new transnational identity and the democratic governance path, so that the broad common basis of legitimacy of European institutions in the citizens' consciousness can become the durable foundation of a post-national democracy for the gradual consolidation of collective goals and a strong common identity in the European public sphere. Feeling a sense of belonging to a community need not be based on pro-political ties, since the public sphere is capable of creating collective identity through participation, communication, opinion formation, and autonomous legislation. Public spheres created as such are based on a reflective identity, a shared understanding of public combined with recognition and respect for diversity within a commonly held value system. Thank you very much.
Okay. Sorry for the low quality. It was not possible to enhance the original file, but we did our best to make it heard, to make it visible. So let me go on with with invitations to the members of the panel. So I will invite Vasiliki Kantzara, who is professor in the Department of Sociology at Pandion University of Social and Political Sciences. Christina is already there. Giorgos Chiolis is not coming. You are representing the department. So Maria Marcadonatou from the Sociology Department at the University of Aegean. And also Professor Eleni Rethymiotakis from the National Catholic University of Athens, and Dimitris Masanoglou, who is also in the same department in the National Catholic University of Athens. Ο Νίκος είναι πρώτος.
Όχι, τώρα δουλεύει. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm pleased to welcome you to this session concerning the institutionalization of sociology in Greece. So we will begin with the presentation of the Emeritus Professor Nikolaos Tatsis, who is also one of the main founders of the Hellenic Sociological Society, together with Maria Antonopoulou. His presentation concerns local initiatives establishing the Hellenic Sociological Society.
Hello, everyone. I would like to begin my presentation by making a confession that somehow I felt uncomfortable talking about my initiative for establishing the Hellenic Sociological Society 20 years ago. Time goes very fast, unfortunately. You don't mind if I say that I was reading recently that the Catholic Saint Augustine was praying every morning to God to tell him what is time. I don't think God responded, but anyway, you know, we still fight about it. Now, our association, however, is not just another formal group for me, but an intellectual movement for all sociologists of this country, and it continues to have a special appeal for all of us. I couldn't possibly, therefore, miss this opportunity. Well, after this introductory comment, allow me to mention two interesting stories. At the beginning of the 20th century, specifically in 1908, believe it or not, there was a similar attempt that succeeded in establishing in Athens the first sociological association. The inspiring leader was a young Greek named Alexandros Papanastasiou, who had studied sociology in Germany with Georg Simmel. We found actually some notebooks from the classes of Simmel, and he was ambitious to introduce this field in this country. He organized a group of scholars deal with social problems. They even published a review of social and legal sciences. Unfortunately, it was obviously too early for such an undertaking. A few years later, that's the second story, during the mid-war period, another person named Panayotis Kanelopoulos, who had studied sociology also in Germany, but this time in Heidelberg with Ferdinand Tennis, became the first sociology professor at the University of Athens in 1933. His appointment raised some hopes for establishing sociology as an academic discipline. However, even that was not a successful move. Predictably for the Greek intellectuals of that period, both of them left the university and started getting involved with politics. That's a common practice in Greece for academics of that period. And of course, they had a successful career in politics. They both became, for a short period, of course, prime ministers of the country. Now, during the post-war decades, sociology had remained a devalued epistemological field. When I personally returned from the United States in 1980, where I was teaching sociology at the State University of New York, our discipline was in a very bad condition. There were, of course, some departments of sociology. My colleagues will talk about those departments. Basically, the Pandion University Department of Sociology, and then in 1984, the department in the University of Crete. However, despite the efforts of few people, sociology was still devalued in higher education. At least in the University of Athens, the condition was unbelievable. Sociology was taught initially by a professor of law, of civil law, who obviously had no connection with sociology, and then by an anthropologist who was teaching sociological theory, telling the students what Malinowski and Kotlevtsev-Strauss wrote about social sciences. In other words, he was in the field of anthropology and never out of it. Even more, in another university, there was an unfortunate case of a fascist professor who even served as a minister of the abhorrent dictatorial regime during the early 1970s. He was, of course, fired afterwards, but that's indicative of what the people were teaching in the universities and in certain other schools. I don't know much about it, but I have learned that in schools of military officers, there were also some fascist professors, professors in quotation marks, teaching sociology. Beyond all that, the newly elected government in 1980s decided that sociology course, should be added to the high school curriculum. This seemed like a great initiative, but of course it failed for two very serious reasons. Firstly, the assigned textbooks were problematic, and secondly, the teachers of this course in high school were not sociologists, but philologists and theologians. So the people really didn't know much about sociology. The only exception to this condition from my experience was the National Social Science Research Center, of course the department in Pandios, but somehow the problems remain. Finally, due to the local historical events after the dictatorship in 1967 until 1974, there were very popular various Marxist trends in the country and of course demanded by students in the university from us. As a friend of mine with a humorous remark expressed the issue, he said that Louis Althusser won the battle with Durkheim, so people prefer Althusser instead of the classic sociologists. Under these conditions, it was quite clear that we had to act. With the cooperation of two other sociology professors, Maria Antonopoulou from Pandion University and Eleni Pazarzi from the University of Piraeus, and the support of a few other colleagues we managed to establish the Sociological Society. After reviewing myself the American Sociological Association Charter, I drafted our own society's version, and we submitted it to the first instance court for legal approval at the end of 2006. The document was signed by more than 30 people. I recall some names: Kouzelis, Doxiadis, Kazara, Zahu, Makriniotti, Astrinakis, Hiotakis, Leledakis, Sotiropoulos, Lagoumitzi, Kalerande, and so forth. Our stated objectives were sociology's academic recognition, the study of social phenomena, the scholarly support of our members, and the dissemination of our scientific knowledge to the Greek society. Then, so to speak, we began our trip to Ithaca. For me, the first goal was to connect our local reality with the global developments of our disciplines. I got this lesson from my experience in the United States. What they call American sociology is actually European sociology. From Robert Park and Talcott Parsons in the pre-war period, all the way to immigrants who left Europe due to the fascist regime in Germany and the genocide, the crime of all crimes, unfortunately. People like Paul Lazarsfeld, Alfred Schutz, Theodor Adorno, Louis Koser, and many other great sociologists who initiated new ideas in various fields, became stimulating me for having a progress in Greece with the establishment of a critical scientific discipline. So right after the establishment of our association, the first event that we organized in 2007 was about an issue which was debated at that time in the United States. As I said, for me, there were no limits of global reality. Specifically, we examined the role of sociology must play in the public sphere. Public sociology was a topic proposed by Michael Boravoy, then inveterate Marxist but brilliant intellectual from the University of Berkeley in California, who later became the president of the International Sociological Association. Boravoy was against the scholarly isolation in the academy and advocated our active involvement on social issues in the real world. The discussions of the panel, organized by the Hellenic Sociological Society, were the first elected members of the Association Executive Committee. The large audience attendance really surprised us. Here is the poster of that event. I save it in, where they listed about this special issue of public sociology. Then, with the cooperation of Pantheon University's Sociology Department, and in particular the assistance of our Vice President, Professor Maria Antonopoulou, we organized during the spring of the next year, in 2008, our first international conference. Its theme was the contemporary relevance of Max Weber's work, because it was almost 100 years from his untimely death. Along with the Greek sociologists, there were also a few distinguished scholars from Germany and England who specialized in Weber's work. A century after his death, the diverse themes of his theories still had an impact on us. Here is the second announcement of the event that επικαιρότητα του έργου του Max Weber, the contemporary relevance of Max Weber 100 years, as I said, after his death. And then, at the fall of the same year, we managed finally to institutionalize our conventions, which was, I must confess, my own passionate objective, by organizing the first national sociological conference ever in Greece. It was a unique experience. More than 60 sociologists from 13 universities, colleges, and various other institutions came to present their theoretical and empirical projects to large audiences in 10 thematic sections. Here is our third announcement of the convention. At that time, we put in every college and university of the country. The annual national conference was established and eventually became biannual. The society then started publishing the journal, the Greek Sociological Review, and various events were organized by ad hoc groups, and research committees, which became a forum for discussion and constructive exchange of ideas among our colleagues. We also invited two distinguished social scientists, Ulrich Beck from the University of Munich, who lectured about his famous study on risk society that everybody knows, and of course Michael Hertzfeld from Harvard University, who did research in Greece and presented his findings to us. In the meantime, the Hellenic Sociological Society became a member of the European Sociological Association and the International Sociological Association. Its members started participating in their conferences and their executive committees. It is worth to mention that a few years later, in 2017, under the leadership of Apostolos Papadopoulos, the meeting of the European Sociological Association took place in Athens with the participation of thousands of social scientists from our continent. No limits to our endeavors. I would like to end this brief talk with a minor but critical point. We decided that our society worldview is best expressed in a famous statement made in ancient Greece by the sophist Protagoras. It has become the Hellenic Sociological Society's logo, and it appears in all our documents. Women and men are the measure of all things. I repeat it, women and men are the measure of all things. Thank you for attending my presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Tatsis, for this presentation on the establishment of the Hellenic Sociological Society and the sociological field in Greece. So we will continue with the presentation of Professor Vasiliki Katsara from Pantheon University of Social and Political Science on concerning the curriculum development and challenges of the Sociology Department of Pantheon University.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is it okay? Can you hear me? Okay. I chose this picture very carefully. In 1 second, it was given to me by Microsoft. So it shows the institutionalization of sociology in Greece. I think very, very, very good. Thank you, Professor Tatsis. I was there at the beginning of the Sociological Association. I remember the pouring rain and having different meetings to establish even a site, a website. I had to go personally to somebody, and somebody had to pay, and somebody, you know, running from around. And I remember one meeting, my shoes were soaked wet. And I'm sitting there 2 or 3 hours, you know, to setting up this society. It was interesting. So thank you very much for the invitation. I have the not so nice task to present sociology department at Pantheon University. And this picture shows you a bit how sociology is in Greece, looking usually backwards instead of going forward. This is from the official ceremonial office, thank you, at Pantheon, where you see all women dressed as men from ancient Greece. Huh? Sorry. And yeah. But this is the site of the Department of Sociology, and it says in perfect Greek what it is, and then some bullets above, and you can visit it and see for yourselves. So I would like to go on with giving an outline, and then from there I will try to go on to the discipline of sociology. So if you want to follow me, and not to make it very difficult today, because maybe you're already a bit tired, I will make a difference between the study of sociology and this discipline of sociology, so we can make this distinction and then move from one to the other. So it's not going to be very boring, I think, I hope. So we heard today, thank you very much, about the discipline of sociology that has a long history in Greece. I thought it was 1930s, but it was 1908. And then one would gather today otherwise, considering the low status. You heard the word devalued. I said low status it enjoys today. Sociologists think that their science is very important and useful, while the history of how the science has been supported or cultivated, or what the general public may think, one would gather that is actually useless. Between these two extremes opinions, the study of sociology takes part in various departments. As sociological courses are part of the curriculum of social sciences and in a sociology department. So you don't find sociology only in sociology department. At the moment, we count 4 departments, I think, if I'm not wrong, 2 in Athens, being the oldest and the youngest one at the same time. Oldest is the one at Pantheon, 1984, and the youngest one is at the University of Athens. I think it was 2018, but maybe I'm wrong. The 4 departments, my point is somewhere else. The 4 departments are situated geographically. I didn't want to put a picture of Greece, but geographically from the middle to the south. There is nothing in the north, nothing. There's no department of sociology. So they don't need their department of sociology or anthropology. There is no anthropology or political sciences. So most of our students come from Larissa, from middle Greece and south, and very few students from the north Greece. So this geographical institutionalization of departments of the sociology says much about educational policy. So I will stop this here because it's a problem. Maybe here in Greece we have to deal with it, we have to pose it. Where do we put these departments of sociology? Why only in the middle and south? So I go on with my points, what I would like to make. The main question is that there was an anonymous letter going around because of support of Gaza. You all know what's happening there. It says sociology as a discipline is rooted in a recognition of relationships of power and inequality. My question is, do we really study this? And do we really study this in a sociology department? And what does it mean, actually, to study sociology at a Greek university? Do we learn sociology exclusively in a university room? Or outside, and what conclusions can we draw for the discipline of sociology. So to make a long story a bit short for you and to be able to follow the maybe labyrinth of my thinking, is that the formal study of sociology finds many obstacles in Greece and is limited in many ways and is not promoted in the public. The second, this has implications for the discipline of sociology. Why? It is generally socially invisible. You heard it also from the president of the society, Mrs. Chinganu, who said there is no, sociologists are not invited to say anything in the public polity, and they are absent. But there is no visibility of sociology. Anyway, so the challenges to be addressed are very numerous and at many levels, and the university studies, and public debate, and cultivating locations and means of transmitting sociology. So we have a lot of things to deal with, yeah? So going further, as I said before, the department was founded in 1984, and it's the first in Greece. It doesn't mean anything, but it means something. Why then? It comprises 4 sections: general sociology, social morphology, New Greek society, and criminology. Now watch out here, and after 22 we have 3 sections. Sociology is shrinked and becomes sociology theory and applications, and then we have New Greek and European society and criminology. So the sociology becomes, what you see it in a moment. It operates study programs at the 3 levels. Whoever knows about the European educational policy understands what I'm saying. Undergraduate level, 4 years, you get a bachelor degree, postgraduate leading to a master's degree, which is common to all universities, right? And PhD studies, minimum 3 years. And there are some postdoctoral studies, which is a possibility to do this, but you don't get a certificate of MSc. Okay. At the moment, there are about 156 courses, and divided into compulsory, and Paddy has to do these courses, and elective subjects you can choose from. The compulsory are normally what one would expect from sociology department: theory, sociology, criminology, methods, history, social policy, epistemology, Greek society. Total 22 subjects. Elective subjects: sociology of emotions, education, health, migration. I have this twice, okay. Historical sociology, criminology, related subjects, history, ethnic culture, gender, local government, Marxism, special themes such as Islam, army, law subjects. So there is a lot of coverage of many, many subjects. But from the 156 courses offered in the curriculum, about 40 are directly related to sociology. So the rest of the courses are more or less indirectly. I won't go to this, but even in the sociology department, sociology seems to be a minority, not a majority. But this is a first reading, right? I'm not doing an evaluation now at the department, but there is a lot of insight. So the study is 4 years, I said that, and I don't know about other universities, I think it's less, but here in Greece you have to finish 44 courses. I think it's a lot, but I don't know about other countries. The first evaluation was 2011, and at that time there were 60 courses, and then we divided them in thematic units so we can have a sense of direction where, in the sense of how the study would look like. So it is general framework, sociology, theory and applications, criminology, contemporary society, European society, seminars, foreign language, internship, courses from other departments. And what is not listed here is, of course, Erasmus students' exchange programs. And Department of Sociology, like other departments at Pantheon University, they have a lot of Erasmus exchange programs. So it's a roadmap for studying. Teaching staff. It was 25, 27 when I started. In 2002 at Pantheon, it went to 40 professors, and now it's about 27, 28, plus 2 of a new category of teachers whose titles are related to laboratory research personnel, which is a new development, but I'm not going into this. Administration personnel, only 3. Students, there are about 3,000, mostly women. Most of the students exceed the numbers of study years, 4, so there are more of them, +2 or +3, so they study already 7 years. From the 3,000, about 2,000 are more than this. And there's a question mark here, why? Why would we have so much delay? There are few foreign students and students with disabilities. To have you an idea, the total number at Pantheon is 20,000, and the total number at tertiary education is about 330,000. Parenthesis, question, we don't know the exact number of students in Greece, so close it. And this says something about statistics and counting, but that's also another story. So it was evaluated in 13 and 21, I said, 2013 and 21, and has been accredited now until 2025. So, now the department itself has limited budget, low salaries. Staff of all categories are doing a lot of different tasks. They are engaged in multitasking, and they are overwhelmed with work. There is no assistance in providing and teaching courses in large audiences, not adequate infrastructure. Thanks to the conference in 2017, we got some from ISA. There is a better now. Limited budget to the university. The budget was limited by 70%, talking about the effects of the crisis. No allowances to teachers for attending conferences abroad, or even research costs. Increase of working hours, because we have more tax obligations related to management and secretarial. We have to go, we're obliged to be in many committees. We can't excuse ourselves. Working hours a day, they are more because of communication technology, every day 2 to 3 hours to answer emails, for example. And there are more demands to do research and publish internationally. The salary cuts of the teaching personnel was about 40%. There's no vellum time for all categories of personnel, and certainly for teachers to devote to extra activities. The evaluation report of 22 mentions characteristically the high commitment of teaching staff to the curriculum as a positive trait. In short, no money and no time. The reason I do this is, I think, because it's important to know what conditions of work we have and what relations they're there. It's also important to understand what happens in Greece in relation to the study, but also to the discipline of sociology. At the moment, they could be described as most challenging, that is the worst of European Union. Overworked, and some of us are at the point of burnout. They do not receive any commensurate, they don't receive a salary commensurate to the work and effort, and they work more hours. Okay. What does it mean? I'm not here to complain. It means that there is no time to devote to the discipline of sociology, to do things, to organize events, to go with the students somewhere, to all these things. So, and they are not favorable, what I said before, that you have this free time. And you don't have the incentive, nobody says you should do it, okay? So we need a sociological society for the discipline of sociology, what we said before. Now, but the teaching, the curriculum. So you see, I go from the study to the department, to the curriculum, to the teaching staff, to the administration staff, to educational policy. Many things are involved when we're talking about the Department of Sociology. The study guide, and I'm moving now to the challenges a bit. The study guide refers literally that theoretical teaching defines the studies, and I have the Greek underneath, which means that the main method of teaching is given lectures. And indirectly, it means that we teach theories or approaches and not the questions asked, nothing on the practical a bit side. So teaching and applying research skills are not well developed, at least overtly, either in teaching or in other ways, except perhaps in the we have this concept, this institution of laboratories, where students may voluntarily do some research there and participate. But on the other hand, freedom in teaching, examining, and preparing the study material is guaranteed, not questioned. We have this. The freedom is limited only because we don't have the means to do something differently. Actually, we don't know what a colleague is doing, how she or he is teaching, so if he uses other techniques, which I'm sure she or he does. But there are no formal channels of exchange. So we have no forum or somewhere where we can meet and exchange and see how you do this or you don't do this. So that means that students learn really theories and approaches by heart, not how to do things, how to think perhaps, but not how, what's so special and unique about sociology. And most of the learning, social sciences, comes from the campus life, when they participate. So students may be directly mobilized in the movement, either as part of existing parties or by being of groups outside of them. There, they meet new currents of thought and the urge to belong to groups or to conform or not to conform to peers. This is where they become politically socialized, not in the room, the university room. So in this movement, they learn what determinism is, and they learn what ethical research is. They learn to do research, also in this movement. So it is a non-formal, informal education that takes place at campus life that we as sociologists cannot direct it, of course, we cannot take part of it, but it is there. And it can open our eyes a bit that, and no, not complain that there is not enough sociology in the Department of Sociology, and I think there is enough sociology outside of the department. So that means that the study of sociology and social sciences and raising questions about them means that we have to ask questions about the context where the study takes place and the relations it develops to the other disciplines. So changing the curriculum to cultivate social minds, it means that we do something also with the environment that sustains critique, dialogue, democratic participation. To put it simply, it's not enough to go to a college room, study your book on Durkheim, Simmel, and learn sociology. So you have to participate in a life, either in campus or more broadly. I say campus because it is there. Why? Because I think learning involves experiencing. You have to experience these theories. Somehow they have to be tangible. You have to feel them. And to make up your own view, what do you think? Question everyday events or observations, coming into contact with views we don't like. What do you do when you come to contact with views you don't like? You hit them, or you try to change something? So studying and participating in the student life cultivates education as a social capital too, because students know each other and they come together and they, without understanding or without planning, they become part of this community or something. And this is what also Erasmus exchange program is about, but this happens informally. I said this, that we don't learn sociology by following exclusively a formal study, and I'm going back. So what I would plea, and my proposal is to take something with us today, is that I see sociology as a science, an art, and as a craft. As a science, okay, we know the theories, the classics, the means, the approaches, what research has been done, and what we know. You know, what is the state of the art. As an art, what is the thinking behind the theories? What are the questions that have been asked? What are the problems people met? What is this conceptual scaffolding? How we use these concepts? Do we use it as net to capture reality? Reality comes through these nets without. We're happy then with this concept. Do we change them? What do we want to express and how to express it without being fearful that what we say is not Marxist enough or Weberian enough? So explore forms of telling our story and ask, what do we say depends on how we express it, or there is a reality outside of what we express, and even if our concepts are so carefully crafted. So as a craft, we have to bring A and B together and produce an artifact, produce something, do something, a small paper, an essay, something, photo, discuss it. And this explains what we explored and how we explored it. So to research whether we say is true, that science, express many aspects, art. For the Department of Sociology, challenges is to modify the curriculum. The curriculum has to be modified to include more sociological subjects, to make it more interesting to know, instead of teaching, for example, to teach what Marx said, of course, but also to see how today Marxism has been used in research. Make it more a bit appealing. Change didactic makes it employ more literature. In Greece, we have one textbook where students learn. Okay, it's good to have one textbook, but you can do this. There is some time to do this. For the sociologist, how to cultivate an informed sociology. And the president of ISA mentioned it before, how to modify, how to promote sociology as a discipline in the public, to inform, do research both basic and applied, be relevant, take part in the public debate on the major issues. We have to create the platforms. Nobody will create it for us. How to talk about inequality, war, racism, sexism, climate change, xenophobia, combat poverty. We said this before, So how to show the interlinkages between various unrelated phenomena at first instance? For me, the challenge is how to persuade and materialize what a sociologist, a social scientist, craftsman should do, combine theory and practice, and my ideal would be there is nothing more practical than a good theory. Because at the back of my mind, there's this bourgeois ideal of philosophical contemplation that philosophy means, I contemplate, I say, this is beautiful, this works like this, it is like this. Yep, okay, but do something practical with it. And for the sociology, it has to address several issues to keep contact, for example, with alumni, and for Greece in general, maybe we have to make a popular magazine, not just a sociological magazine, journal, but a magazine that is in the Netherlands, and to promote the discipline. So what I'm trying to say is that it is invisible, and for the public, sociology is an unknown territory. It is confused with social work, and nobody knows what we study, how we study it, what are the most recent breakthroughs of research. So sociology in Greece is visible only to us, to sociologists, and to current and past students, perhaps. But it needs to address this lack of public recognition, maybe with other social scientists. So closing comments, I started with the study of sociology, moved to the discipline, and rounded up with sociology as a science, an art, and a craft. I forgot to mention the salesman, but this is another story, another paper. We have to know that the study of sociology has been developed, has to do with many social factors, of which I mentioned none. I didn't do anything. So it's another story involving dragons, relations of power, fairy tales, idealists, and Draculas, okay? But this is also another story. A second point is I didn't do an evaluation of the department. That was not my intention. But my aim was to analyze sociologically a study distinguished from discipline, so I can contribute something to the dialogue and how to cultivate further. In Greece, for various reasons, it lacks social recognition, is invisible as a science, and but this also needs another explanation. So instead of blaming the teachers or the students, I believe we need to address the context, the relations, and the curriculum, the institutions, and study them, like sociologists do, and have some sound and solid results on which to build upon and go on. Last but not least, thank you very much for listening. And this is a picture I like very much. Thank you very much. No.
My dream is coming true. I will chair this session for a second. So now, Christina Karakoulafi will present a common paper with Giorgos Tsiollis. They are both professors at the University of Crete at the Department of Sociology, and she will have a presentation with the title Studying Sociology at the University of Crete, Orientation Towards Empirical Research and Openness to the Local Community and Social Movements.
Professor Tsiolios is presenting his apologies. Tomorrow we will have our 27th annual conference on methodology of research in social sciences at the department, so he could not be with us in Athens today. So I will, my presentation will not be so inspired, I think, but the Department of Sociology at the University of Greece was founded in 1984, but welcomed the first students in 1987-88. It is part of the School of Social Sciences, who also include the Department of Economics, Department of Psychology, and the Department of Political Science. As to our educational and research objectives, the aim of the curriculum is to equip students with the theoretical and methodological foundations of sociology, enable them to use the methods of sociological research, to develop an autonomous and reflexive sociological thinking in the scientific analysis of social problems, provide a theoretically and methodologically grounded education with critical knowledge about the social structure, social action, and institution, and ensure a wide sociological knowledge in particular fields of sociology, and knowledge from other related disciplines of social sciences. We offer courses during the first 2 years of an introductory theoretical nature, and during the last 2 years with a more analytical, empirical, and comparative content. And the aim of our new curriculum, which was established in recent years, is to enable students to select, formulate an individual program of studies. Our undergraduate program has 2 scientific areas. The one concerns social transformations, inequality, and rights, and the other culture, social practices, and conflicts. As to the first scientific area, we focus on wider social transformations in the field of economy, politics, work, technology, environment and institutions, urban and rural life, both in the global north as in the global south. We also focus on the maintenance, reproduction, and transformation of social relations with an emphasis on power relations, especially those which distribute rights and reproduce inequalities locally, nationally, and globally. We consider social change as an ongoing process which arises through social conflicts between opposing social classes and groups in relation to broader changes. And finally, we focus on issues regarding uneven capitalist development. These are some of the courses that we offer in the framework of this first subject area. We have more classic sociological subjects and more modern. The second scientific area is concerning culture, social practices, and conflicts. We mainly focus on attitudes, ways of life, value systems, meanings, and practices characterizing the cultures of everyday life in modern societies. Culture is not considered in the framework of this scientific area as a separate sphere of society, but as a holistic phenomenon that includes class, gender, and other social divisions, etc. The courses focus on how people think, feel, and act within the particular local, national, and global cultures that surround them. and how subjectivities negotiate, adopt, reproduce, or challenge dominant cultural norms. Finally, the courses in this scientific area focus on processes of formation and transformation of identities, alterities, through social practices, rivalities and conflicts in the context of the changing and rapidly globalizing social and cultural life. And these are some of the courses that are offered in this scientific area. We also offer some intersectional courses who are available to students of both scientific areas or to students who do not wish to choose a scientific area and prefer to shape their own individual curriculum more flexibly. These intersectional courses concern areas that are basic for every sociology graduate: sociological theory and methodology, courses with a more interdisciplinary or cross-disciplinary approach, and courses that focus on cutting-edge social issues. As to the curriculum, we offer mandatory courses at the first 2 years who offer basic methodological tools and an introduction to major subfields of the discipline. And they also aim to facilitate the transitions to specific scientific areas. Furthermore, we have special background courses for each scientific area that operate as an entrance gate to the 2 scientific areas. And finally, we have elective courses, lectures, and seminars which offer a focused knowledge in individual fields of sociological theory and research as developed in the modern division of labor in the science of sociology. Our seminar courses offer a link between research and teaching, try to engage students with their own research, have thus a more laboratory and research character, and they are based on collective work and active participation of students who are supposed, because in practice this does not it's not always like this, they're supposed to work as members of a research group. As to our postgraduate studies, the department offers, this is the oldest master at the department, a master on sociology, theory, culture, and social change, which will operate up to 2025. There we examine issues of sociological theory, methods, and empirical social research using quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods. And we also approach more specific subjects and fields of sociology. We also offer a master in bioethics, which is the result of the collaboration of the departments of philosophy, medicine, biology, and sociology that operates since 2003. An inter-university master on community work and social economy that operates since 2021. And this is the result of the collaboration of the Department of Sociology and the Department of Social Work at the Hellenic Mediterranean University. This has a more interdisciplinary character. And the aim is, among others, to train community workers capable of responding to the complex social needs of local communities, and focuses also on issues of social and solidarity, economy, and community work structures. Next year, we will have a new master program, which is the result of the cooperation between the departments of sociology, political science, and psychology of School of Social Sciences. This will concern issues of employment, work organization, and labor relations. The approach is multidisciplinary, both theoretical as well as empirical, and will focus on issues of work, employment, labor market, and labor or industrial relations. We have two research laboratories in the department. The one concerns social gender studies, and it operates since 2004, and is one of the few social gender studies centers in the universities. And we have also a laboratory of social analysis and applied social research. It operates since 2000. As to our teaching staff, most of the teaching staff accomplished their doctoral thesis in the UK, in France, in Greece, and in the US. We cover, these are the subject areas of the teaching staff. So we have from more classical sociological issues such as social theory and sociological theory, to more modern sociological areas and fields such as social inequalities and social rights, sociology of gender. And we have many members of the teaching staff also focus on methods. I think we have a very good tradition on methods, mixed methods, quantitative methods, qualitative methods. And I think one of the plus of this department is this orientation towards empirical research with the focus on methods. We also suffered from budget restrictions. I will not repeat what Professor Kazzara also presented. But despite budget restrictions, the teaching staff participated during the crisis in many national-founded, European-founded research programs. Many of the programs during the crisis had to do with the consequences of the crisis in various fields. I think from 2010 to 2019, teaching staff participated in 58 research programs, either nationally founded or European programs. These three are the last, the most recent programs. The one concerns labor precarity in the case of cultural and creative industries. The other, social cohesion and resilience in fisheries, the case of Kalymnos Island, which is from a colleague who is an anthropologist, and a research program on gender-related violence in Greece. As being a rather small department in a small town, Rethymnon, We have continuous contact with the local society and with external stakeholders, mainly from the public sector and the civil society. The program, our study program, and I think our cultural philosophy is not very friendly to companies and private enterprises. We try to involve the everyday life of local society and build bridges between students, faculty members, and community participants. So the members of the department have a rich presence in the public sphere at the local communities in Crete, with speeches, participation in events, intervention in the press, etc. Our orientation is, we have generally a student-centered approach. We offer an individualized monitoring of student progress through via the academic advisors. So upon the arrival at the university, students are taken under the supervision of academic advisors who are also members of the teaching staff. So every student has an academic advisor. Academic advisors provide students with information and guidance during their studies, so they assist students with their study program in matters of course choices, training and research options, managing curriculum problems, or clarifying any questions about academic regulations, and they act as a link between the students and the university support services. The general culture in the department is a culture of respect for democratic procedures, collegiality, transparency, and a respect for argumentation, contestation, and opposing views. So often the department, through collective decisions and procedures, has expressed its oppositions to institutional pressure largely associated with the corporatization of the academy, the quantification of the evaluation procedures for studies and teaching staff in the social sciences, the working conditions in terms of precarity, competition, etc., often experienced by young researchers and scientists. But it offers also, has often expressed its support and solidarity for groups such as refugees and migrants, and mainly for solidarity and activism collectives. To conclude, as to the general orientation of the department, I think that, not personally, that we are mostly oriented toward a social problem solving sociology, or what one of the evaluators, he considered that was a negative, but we considered it as being positive. As a sociology in order to change society or engage to sociology. So we try to provide a socially empowering and sociologically grounded education. So we encourage students to be directly involved in concrete social change work, wanting them to understand that they too are doing society. And the pedagogy is aiming at connecting the classroom with participatory and lived experience, as Calderon mentions. Generally, we could say that we offer a politically oriented scholarly activity or actively engaged civic sociology. So we may see integration of progressive leftist social values and social change with educational objectives. So we generally support a commitment to activism, particularly as a central part of the mission of the department, and we try to stimulate the activist impulse of the students. So many times the classrooms are sort of an arena to activism. Thank you very much. Εντάξει, δεν πειράζει. Εντάξει, ωραία. So we will continue with the presentation of the Department of Sociology at the University of the Aegean with Maria Marcadonatou, who is Associate Professor. Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you for this important initiative to bring together all sociology departments of Greece and for this opportunity to present the Department of the Aegean. Perhaps I should start by describing what differentiates the University of the Aegean from others in Greece, and this is precisely its geographical location, as it is not located in just one place, but it is actually dispersed on 6 different islands, namely the islands of Lesbos, of Chios, Samos, Rhodos, Syros, and Limnos. The headquarters of the Aegean is located in Mytilene in Lesbos, and overall, but the various other departments are on the other islands, and overall we have 6 schools, 18 departments, 38 master programs, and various PhD programs. So this distinctive geography makes the Aegean University a sort of a network university in the regions of North and Southern Aegean, which acts in ways that connect the university with the local societies and tries to promote intra-island cooperation. Such cooperations give the university this specific role in the general area of the Greek archipelago, and this is evident also with regard to, for example, the refugee crisis in 2015, when the Aegean Islands were the first places where refugees from Syria arrived. So the university has declared as its strategic goal to maintain and sophisticate this role of, in the southeastern Mediterranean social space as an institutional actor aspiring to contribute to public dialogue and social change. Now, as regards the Department of Sociology at the Aegean University in Lesbos, it was established in 1994, and now it belongs to the School of Social Sciences together with departments of social anthropology and history, geography, cultural technology. The department attempts to offer courses in a wide range of subjects with the aim to foster education to future sociologists, which is as integrated and full as possible, which is not easy, of course. These courses are grouped in 4 broad clusters of study. First, there is the cluster of methodology and the epistemology of social sciences, the cluster of political sociology, the cluster with courses on social differentiation and applied policy, and that on quality of life and culture. For example, as regards the cluster of methodology, already since the beginning of the department, there are courses on both quantitative and qualitative empirical research, while at the same time the program tries to cover equal courses on classical and modern social theory. For instance, in the cluster of political sociology, there are courses such as the history and the transformation of social movements, the political construction of the European Union, social policy, historical comparative analysis, theories and transformations of the nation state, the welfare state, globalization, and so on. As for the specific sociologies that the Aegean department offers, these include sociology of work, the sociology of education, of culture, of health and illness, that of science and technology, of gender, and of migration, among others. Moreover, there are courses that complement the sociology curriculum with subjects like social and political philosophy, social psychology, and methods for teaching sociology. Most courses try to utilize theoretical and methodological tools in order to approach current problems, which of course range from modern political phenomena to violent dislocations to social inequalities, gender disparities, or problems around different forms of crisis, the financial crisis, the refugee crisis, the global health crisis under COVID, and so on. So the idea of most of the courses is to try to update social theory and research in order to try to stimulate students to reflect on their own social reality and understand public debates and current policies. A practice which has proven to be successful is that of structured internships, which allows students to assess their academic knowledge in the context of real-world practices within social agencies. So in this framework, there are partnerships with various public administration entities, local NGOs, agencies from mental health or drug prevention centers to elderly social care units, to organizations aiding victims of domestic violence, those supporting unaccompanied refugee children, and many more. I could not go, there is a list. Moreover, the participation of Aegean students to the Erasmus program has increased in the last decade, and more and more of them cooperate with the Erasmus coordinator to try to find the appropriate department to spend 1 or 2 semesters abroad. And as for the international students, the department, of course, receives yearly a number of Erasmus students, but it's notable that every year among the various departments of the University of the Aegean, the Department of Sociology is constantly the first or among the first in the preferences of foreign students. Thus, among the total international students visiting the University of the Aegean, most of them indeed visit the sociology department. And with the same program, professors and researchers have visited the department, and in some cases there have been built some more permanent cooperations with universities abroad. Also, let me say just a few words about the master programs. We offer 4 master's programs that have been proved relatively popular to graduates from all over Greece, and they're offered mostly in person, but also in some hybrid online forms. One of the oldest MAs of the department is entitled Social Research on Regional Development and Social Cohesion. This program invites students holding a sociology degree, but also professionals from public administration, educational institutions, and social organizations to acquire knowledge in social theory and the methodology of qualitative social research. They conduct research in issues of social inequalities, social exclusion of vulnerable groups, including migrants, people with disabilities, the elderly, and so on, and other groups that are vulnerable in various ways. And they get familiar with policies that lead or prevent social exclusion, as well as with practices of local development. Another MA of the Aegean is called European Societies and European Integration, and it explores the processes of Europeanization and the relationships between socio-cultural practices of civil societies and formal democratic institutions in Europe, especially Southern Europe, in terms of national identity, social movements, democratization processes, and political representation. So the focus of this MA is on the Euro-Mediterranean social space and the examination of European policies and problems of institutional integration. Another MA program, I will say just a few words, is the so-called Applied Clinical Sociology and the Arts, which aims to train students in planning and implementing social and at the same time artistic interventions to support the social integration of at-risk groups. Its task is to develop the students' specialized skills in social mediation, coordination, the networking between social groups, agencies, organizations, collectives, and so on, and also prepare them to design and implement various methods in education through art. So graduates of this program can work in institutions involved in the empowerment of specific social groups and combine social and artistic interventions. Finally, the latest master program is entitled Management of Migratory and Refugee Flows in Europe, and it is the only Anglophone one, and it has this interdisciplinary socio-legal approach on issues of migration and asylum seeking, such as forced migration, human rights, social discrimination of migrants, and the policies of integration. It tries to maintain collaborations with national and international NGOs on migration and attempts to provide evidence-based and at the same time humanitarian approaches to future specialists in migration who wish to work in governmental bodies or human rights organizations. So among the students of these four master programs, some opt out for a PhD within the department, and so currently there are approximately 40 PhD candidates engaged in very diverse fields of studies. Annually, we have a workshop where PhD candidates present their research and receive some feedback from department staff and fellow candidates. And it's, yeah. As regards now the research activities of the departments, these are organized around 6 smaller research units, so-called laboratories, including, for example, the one on social statistics and research infrastructure, the laboratory of social work and professions, that of social and political institutions, that of critical criminology, that of collective action and social movements. The activities of these laboratories vary and range from publications on issues of the subject area, the documentation of social data, the preparation of research applications, the production of digital material, the design of seminars, the organization of summer schools, workshops, conferences, and so on. So to come to some final remarks, if we try to consider the challenges that Greek sociology departments face and that of the Aegean too, of course, it is important, as Christina said before, to take into consideration the social background these departments operate, and especially the consequences of the financial crisis of the past decade on education. I think Professor Kanjara is an expert on this. Public expenditure for education in the years of the financial crisis was severely reduced. Government spending was cut by more than 25% from 2010 to 2016 compared to the pre-crisis decade. But even in 2019, a decade after the crisis started, according to the OECD, public spending on education was nearly 7% of total government spending in Greece, which is of course much lower than the OECD average of more than 10%. Greek universities were severely hit by the austerity policies which were implemented as a response to the debt crisis, and they have not actually fully recovered and remain to a great extent underfunded and understaffed. For example, legislation during the crisis for the reduction of personnel in the public sector led to professors retiring but not being replaced, and to a drastic reduction of the courses offered. Of course, precarious employment pre-existed, but the crisis has exacerbated it, and it has worsened working conditions, especially for young scholars who find it difficult to enter the university. Therefore, most Greek universities and departments are in a process of recovery after the crisis and have now to cope with the new conditions that the austerity decade has left behind. But what makes things even worse is actually the stance of the current Greek government towards sociology. The current government not only promotes market-oriented policies in education, but also it openly opposes sociology and has even gone that far as to suddenly totally abolish sociology courses from the study programs of high schools, which is very problematic, of course. So we all know we live in an era of multiple crises, economic, political, and ecological crises, and an era of intensified geopolitical conflicts and new wars like the Israel-Hamas war. And we all know that there is a critical need for sociological analysis, but the current official politics in Greece do not really embrace this necessity. The International Sociological Association has always defended a public sociology, the idea which Michael Barawai made so influential, a sociology which would be open to the general public, it would contribute to democratic debates and so on. But it seems that for Greece, this is not an easy task, of course, not at the moment, as sociology is pretty marginalized, and this is, I guess, the challenge that all departments face. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maria. So we'll continue with the presentation of the newly founded Department of Sociology at the ECPA by Professor Eleni Rethimiotakis, who is also head of the department, and Associate Professor Dimitris Partsanoglou.
Thank you very much for this occasion of being here to discuss with you our common experience and from the past and hope for the future. The Department of Sociology at the National and Kapodistrian Athens University was established at the year 2019 and within an atmosphere of strong debates against and for sociology. For half of the people, sociology was for left or even for the leftists, and for the others, sociology was meant to be a rather conservative and a science ready to legitimate the right-wing decisions. So we are, however, it was finally possible that we would have been established, and we are the youngest department to the oldest university. But this doesn't mean that we have not had a past existence within National Kapodistrian University. We would say that the first position in sociology was established within Law School of Athens University. And since then, it has been a hope that we would be part of the School of Economic and Political, as well as Communication, School of Athens University. Our basic idea, because since we are so young, I can only speak about our targets and for the future. I don't have so much about our past. The only thing is that we have already produced our first 16 graduates, 17 graduates, and the thing is, we are still a small community. Our function would have never been possible without the active help of National Center of Social Science Research, and many colleagues from other departments of Greece who volunteered to offer lessons, and if not, it would be really impossible. We still have just got 8 members, but we have been able to offer a rich program. From the beginning, the idea was to strengthen the social science, the basic social science education of our students, since we knew that social sciences were almost extrapolated out of the secondary education. So we had really to start from 0 point. The idea was to combine theory with research, and we started to work our program based also within on the discussions we followed generally within sociological community, but also within the South European communities. So the program is based in 8, actually 7 working thematic entities, and which are political, sociology, economy, civilization, and culture sociology, and also sociology of law, since it was also an idea to have it there. And the idea was to connect our department with the rest of the departments of the same school, as well as other schools within Greek, within National Kapodistrian University, in order to promote from the beginning an interdisciplinary approach. Our idea was for the future to make joint master programs, and therefore the program gives this option to our students to choose to focus in one of these above-mentioned entities. This means that they could, in the future, take some masters from economic department or political department, or even law department, and making a sociolegal program. The other idea was from the beginning to develop towards research. We already have 2 institutes of research. The other idea was also to promote the digital section, which would be somehow the specificity of our newly created department. And we also try to take advantage of the new, younger colleagues which have been offered to us in a flexible framework of work. So to engage our students from the beginning in active the small works or dissertations or small research groups in order to give them a chance of interactive way of learning. This had a rather good result. The portion of students who ended in 4 years is satisfactory, and we also have been engaged in give the students a chance to make practicums in different sections, and also they had one or two opportunities of being engaged actively in research projects. I don't want to speak longer since my colleague will also go further. Thank you for your attention.
So, yes, when we discussed with Eleni Rethmiotakis about the organization of our intervention here, we agreed that we would share the time as we did. She would briefly present the short history of the youngest Department of Sociology at the oldest university, as she said, of the country, and she would refer to our efforts to provide sound theoretical knowledge related to social sciences in general and to sociology in particular. And I would, from my part, briefly refer to the second part of the title of this intervention, that is the efforts of our department to initiate our students in the brave new world of the sociological research. I must excuse myself from the beginning that I might sound very optimistic in the next 6 or 7 minutes. This does not mean that I do not share all the concerns raised here. But to be frank, we are a little baby. I mean, we are 4 years old, so we are optimistic by nature. But we try to combine the optimism of will with the pessimism of knowledge, as a brilliant mind said almost a century ago. Anyway, following this promise, I will share with you our logic, if I have correctly understood it, the short period of time that I'm part of this endeavor. And I will give you some examples of this logic that might be indicative. I will not insist on the undergraduate program. The head of our department has already spoken about it. We have been trying under difficult circumstances and with the help of many people, some of them are here with us today, to offer a comprehensive corpus that covers as many aspects of sociological subfields as possible, varying from traditional areas of research, such as social stratification, social reproduction, education, etc., to emerging ones, such as digital transformation, new challenges for health, sociology of health, leisure, entrepreneurship, environment and risk societies, without neglecting the examination of central or hot topics, hot social issues such as migration, gender and labor relations, and so on and so forth. Beyond the courses offered to our students, the Department of Sociology, the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, has from the very beginning engaged to promote research, as the head of the department said, in several ways, and to contribute to the development, here comes the optimism I was referring to help to contribute to the development and enrichment of a new generation of researchers and scholars. Despite our small size and numbers, we have already more than 20 PhD candidates, it's not a bad number, who are conducting research on several fields. Moreover, since the very last day of 2021, the 31st of December 2021, when the regulation of postdoctoral studies was approved and published in the Government Gazette, 6 postdoctoral researchers contribute to the enrichment of our department with original research on sociology of law, sociology of science, digital sociology, and of course social theory. And there are other people who are going to join us very briefly. The interest shown by young researchers led to the creation of two research centers, as Elena Thimiotaki mentioned, established in the beginning of 2022. They are babies as well. The Center for Digital Studies and the Center for Social Theory and Empirical Research. The aim of these laboratories is to support original research and promote collaborations with other educational and research institutions, while strengthening its research agenda through the recruitment of young and dynamic researchers. In fact, the two centers have already been granted with, yes, money is a question. So we have already been granted with two projects funded by the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation, or the Greek colleagues know it as ELIDEC, the main source of funding for basic research in the country. One project on migration and refugees, and the other one on communication and information flows, and one Horizon project where we participate as partners on educational inequalities and practices of inclusion, educational inclusion, that will officially start in February 2014. Moreover, the Center for Social Theory and Empirical Research is in the process of concluding an agreement with a private institution, a research institution, to conduct research on precarity, labor precarity among young people. Meanwhile, for 2 years, an interdisciplinary seminar has been held at the same center, gathering young and less young researchers who shared and discussed their work with their peers. So research and collaboration, we could say, that are constitutive parts of our department's identity. From its very beginning, the Department of Sociology had signed or participated in memoranda signed already by the School of Economic and Political Sciences, where we belong, with research institutions that occupy key positions in the country's scientific map. These MOUs include, of course, the National Center for Social Research, ECE, the National Research Center for Natural Sciences, Demokritos, and the Institute of Commerce and Services of the National Confederation of Greek Commerce, which is an association of employers in EMEAS. I think Valia Ranitou has left. She was one of the main persons who did this. In the context of these agreements, students of the department enrich their research experience either through internships or through participation in research projects carried out by these institutions. A rather interesting specific example, and I'm not saying it because people are present here, of such a collaboration is the participation of students in small-scale but original research projects in the framework of courses offered by researchers of the National Center for Social Research, such as the one offered by the president of the Hellenic Sociological Society and research director at ECE, Ioanna Tsiganu, and other colleagues from ECE, such as Katerina Iliou and Pavlos Baltas, who is here. In a similar vein, a new agreement with the Labour Institute of the General Confederation of Greek Workers, the INEGESE, this is the largest trade union in the country, inaugurates a collaboration regarding exchange for teaching purposes and research on the specific issue of digital transformations of work. The above-mentioned examples describe the short history of research in the newly founded Department of Sociology at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. They are all indicative of our collective will to encourage basic research and collaborations with other institutions, but also with what we call nowadays stakeholders, in an effort to create the preconditions for a development of forms or aspects, at least, of public sociology. In this sense, we have been trying to encourage research that can be meaningful for society and for institutions and actors who seek to tackle social problems or provide recommendations for the relevant authorities or stakeholders. So, having completed the advertisement of our department, Let me close with a more personal perspective, let's say, a personal wish and aim, if you want, not personal, but I have shared it with my colleagues, of course, in the department, stemming or dealing with a kind of aporia in philosophical terms, an impasse, that might be shared by my colleagues from other universities as well. In many instances, we are very often faced with a lack of sociologists, even if we have now 4 departments, and lack of sociology. About the lack of sociology, many colleagues have already talked. Very often, for the very few new positions that become available from the state budget and the Ministry of Education, we face difficulties in recruiting people with a mere sociological background. I think this is something that could be shared by everyone. Even the staff composition of the departments of sociology might be revealing in this respect. Moreover, even though Greece, and I'm coming to another issue, has attracted during the last years and the consecutive crisis, in plural, crisis, an unprecedented attention by researchers from around the globe. We had moments in 2015-16, for example, where we had in Eleona's camp people from Canada, Australia, etc., doing their research. And we see many publications on issues that concern the Greek context published by colleagues from other countries. Both empirical outcomes and theoretical explorations still follow typologies and models produced elsewhere, usually in and for other contexts. What I'm trying to insinuate here is that maybe we should practically encourage a kind of a twofold, a kind of double sociological chauvinism, if I may say so, and I don't want to be misunderstood. On the one hand, to promote research coming from actors who are actually experiencing the multiple crises, actors who are subjects within this crisis, and more importantly, to produce theory stemming from the Greek or Southern European context. We cannot still analyze the new migration in Southern Europe by models created in the United Kingdom. I'm sorry, we already have a knowledge here, and Apostolos Papadopoulos is here this might be, in my opinion, the only way, or one way, among others, to leave behind the dominant perspective of a Greek or a Southern exceptionalism, which does not explain anything in the end of the day, and to avoid the imposition of explanatory models that reserve a position of residuality or backwardness for societies like the Greek, or the Spanish, or the Portuguese, or the Italian one. In other terms, and to make a reference to the first session of tomorrow morning, a Southernization of sociological research and theory is, for any department of sociology, young or less young, in our countries, in all our countries, I think it is a cause worth fighting for. Thank you very much.
Yes, of course, of course.
I would like to explain to you that there was no Department of Sociology at the University of Athens. It's a recent department. When I was there, the sociology was under the Department of Political Science, which had 4 divisions: political science, public administration, international relations, and sociology. So sociology was a, sort of speak, minor trend up, then we had a really very serious problem. We couldn't teach the courses we wanted and so forth. So I'm personally very happy that now things have changed so much. That's it.
I don't know if there are any questions. Yes, we can. Is it for a specific presentation? Generally.
Don't worry.
Thank you all for your presentations, really interesting. But some of us, we are familiar with landscape, you know, the environment, the sociological environment in the higher education in Greece. So at the first instance, my thought was just to ask something that is more related to me as an early career researcher, but then I thought just exploit the opportunity because we have here the president of the European Sociological Association, and I would like to ask you, all of you, and combine somehow this panel with the presentation of Mr. Nagopoulos about the European integration and European values. So we are somehow familiar, or we know to an extent that the European strategy in terms of higher education is European universities, or is a thought or a target or something that is somehow promoted and invested in the higher education. And I was wondering how Greek Sociological Association, European Sociological Association, and especially when it comes to the Southern European environment, how it deals with that, and what are the challenges and the opportunities that you may think in relation to our environment here. Thank you.
I have just a remark to make and two questions to all of you. The remark which I think needs a further elaboration and discussion is what Professor Katsara said about this segregation of the sociological departments in universities which are hosted by the Greek South, let's say, while in this country, the first sociology as a specific field of study was taught initially by the Aristotelian University of Salonika by mid-1920s. And so I don't know why this specific university has not yet established a specific department of sociology. And I have two questions for all of you. I don't know how rigid are the curricula and how flexible they are to meet scientific needs, which has to do with the attractiveness of young students to the universities, to the sociology departments. And my second question is, what about the yes, what about the assessment process? If because as I understand it, all departments have been recently assessed. How useful did you find it vis-a-vis your mission and vision? If it added something to these fields, or it was an obstacle or a bureaucratic process which we could say that there was much fuss for nothing in the end. Okay.
Yes, well, I will try, before launching a question, thank you very much for the presentations. I think it was very clarifying to understand how sociology is institutionally structured in Greece. But before launching a general question, just saying about the question on the systems of higher education in Europe, they are very different. They depend on the national
levels, let's say. But despite that, we work at the European Sociological Association to tackle first the specificities of the national systems, and at the same time to think about specific challenges like precarity in higher education. Lucia Fratzel, so she's a member of the postgraduate committee, and we address that during the PhD summer schools we organize every year. At the same time, we have extra initiatives. We had now in September a seminar on casualization, precarity, and career in higher education in Europe, where we try to, to discuss a little bit on this. We have more than 100 registered young scholars, mainly. So we try to do our part, but I think our power in this field is very limited because we have very different national systems. Also at the European Alliance for Social Sciences and Humanities, we are a member, the ESA. We also do some work on this field, but even the European Alliance says, this is a very difficult platform to work on because of the differences we have at the national level. But we are attentive and we try to give our contribution, I would like to say. And regarding the question, I was thinking about, sorry because I had to leave because of a call, but I heard about the public sociology and the difficulties of implementing, engaging sociology in the Greek society. And I was curious about the factors. What do you think? Maybe I think that all of you have something to say about this, the factors that lead to these difficulties of engaging sociology in the Greek society. Thank you very much.
And if there isn't any other question, allow me to ask one provocative one. Having heard very carefully all the presentations, I hope that I heard them very carefully. I might have missed something. Sorry for that. But I understand that we've got two different, we have a divide between the sociology departments. As I understand it, it's not a real divide, it's an artificial divide. I mean, there is one, and Vasiliki Kanzara was very illustrative in that. She said that there is a theoretical, philosophical versus applied sociology. Maybe it's not a hard line divide, but I would say that the Athenian, but we have one young university, young department, sorry, in the old university. So the Athenian sociology department in Pantheon, I've graduated from Pantheon University, so I have a view on that as well, not as a member of staff, but as a former student, one of the first students. It's more theoretical, so to say, and philosophical. It has remained in this side of the argument, whereas the other younger, not youngest, younger universities are more inclined to do research and shifted more to doing applied research, and they become more interdisciplinary in that respect once they are trying to become more applied, in inverted commas. So I not have a view on the youngest department because it hasn't done a big trajectory, so I have only a view for the other three. Sorry for that. So is this a real divide, or this is an imaginary divide, and we have to think that sociology as a discipline has a great potential, but sociologists make these divides. So I think it's more like I don't consider it a problem of discipline. I consider it a problem of sociologists. That. And what do you say about that? Sorry for being so provocative, but I think it's important to hold this discussion. Thank you.
Would you like to answer? I don't know.
Yeah, of course, we would like to answer. So,
You will. Would you like to begin?
Listen, Okay, sorry about the first question. I didn't really get it, this European Union, and sorry, do you want to repeat it maybe, the first question? Or it was for the president of the ESA, professor?
For the Greek context of the Greek environment and how we stand now and what are the thoughts about opportunities and challenges in that process. So the main idea, or as I interpret it, I'm not quite sure, but it's what I get, is that there is a tendency, there is a trend about integrating European universities and bringing them together. We can see that with calls for funding, not just for the Erasmus program, but with other kind of investments behind the European Commission about that. So bringing them together and what this means for you as members or heads of the Greek sociological department. That is my question, and for that question.
From the Pantheon University, I can say that this kind of opportunities has been utilized to set up joint master programs, and maybe also to apply for joint research. And Professor Georgiadou, who was earlier here, knows more about it than me. So it is a kind of discussion, and that has to do with what Ms. Tsinganou said about the challenges of, I think, and the evaluation is one point of the evaluation to do this. So the evaluation, when it comes from an accredited commission, it forces us to think in these terms. Us in the Department of Sociology, because there are research done there also, I didn't mention them, but it's less than it is, for example, with the department in Crete. There are totally different portraits, profiles, if I may say so. So what we have done here for me is also very important, because we can put some things together, and I see the Department of Crete, and then I answer to your question, it is more related to research. I don't think it's more related to research. I think it's more related, they have more sociologists. The Department of Sociology has less sociologists. It's like a section of sociology within the department. So that has an impact on what you're doing, or whether you do still theoretical, philosophical teaching, or you do applied, or you do research. So every department has its own profile, and it has to do with the people who are there, how they are funded, and what they do, and what they bring when they study abroad. Another important issue is most of the teaching staff has studied abroad. So they bring knowledge and ideas or aims, whatever, from other countries to Greece. And that has also an impact on the curriculum and how you teach and how you apply didactics. We didn't talk anything about didactics, because research can be a part of didactics. You can do research with your research-based teaching. And this is one of the challenges is coming because of the evaluation. The next evaluation is going to ask us, what are you doing about research-based teaching? Nobody knows what exactly it is, not even the people who applied, so that's a good thing. And we'll find out. We have some time to find out. Yeah, there is some kind of discussion, but for example, I will ask the audience, do you know about the targets of the 2030? Education is one of the fourth target. What is the first one? Nobody knows. In sociology, we don't talk about these targets of the United Nations. It's combating poverty. We didn't talk. Did you talk in your departments? No. These are big issues, and we didn't talk. The second is eradication of inequality. The third is, I don't remember, the fourth is education, and also gender inequality. I get newsletters from other universities and societies, whatever, because I also studied abroad, yes, after my master's and my PhD. And I'm happy you graduated from the Department of Sociology, because I couldn't. There was not when I was studying, and I fought for it. So I had to go abroad to study sociology in my master's. So there I got from alumni newsletter. They keep contact with me after so many years. I won't tell you how many years, yeah? Okay. And I see that they discuss this. Do we discuss it here? They haven't seen any debate. And that was the point I will try to make in my talk. This is where we have to come in somehow. We have to discuss it. I don't know if I answered to your questions, but it's also a bit of a comment. I like the idea to be a university of 6 islands, because that means they have a very good infrastructure. That means that they have organized the bureaucratic work, the emails and the letters and everything, and the meeting stuff. We haven't. You know, every department has its own configurations, and now the new department, I think, because they have a lot of knowledge and experience, and they can do things, I think, differently. So, yes, the evaluation was important in some respects. First of all, it brought the department together. So all our attentions between us, they were gone, because we had to persuade that we're the perfect department of the whole world. But to be the perfect department of the whole world, you have to talk about what you aim, what you teach, and how you teach it, and what for. And so discussions have started, and that was good. But the mistake of the evaluation committee, and all the evaluation, at least in Greece, as far as I could see, that's my next personal project, is they don't evaluate what we do. They evaluate what we should have done. So they evaluate negatively. You understand what I'm trying to say? They don't evaluate what we do. They have a target, you should do this. Do you do it? Do you publish abroad? Yes, we publish abroad. But we're obliged to publish also inside, not only abroad. And why to publish abroad? Does that mean anything? That means quality, for example. Yeah, it has its own negative and positive effect. It's the dynamic field of how different actors in education take place and what the outcome will be. And for the first time, the report is on the internet, so it's public. You can read it, and that's good. And another important thing is the students becoming more active, and they are asking things when they see the report. So yes, it had its own dynamic, though I'm not so much in favor of the evaluation the way it is done, yeah? Okay. Public sociology and factors and difficulties. Yes, you want me to talk about the Dracula and the dragons and the fairy tales, Professor Ferro. Okay, one of the main things because of the crisis was that very limited financial means. Even if we had the opportunity or the time, we don't have the time to be involved in public sociology or to write. The second is how power dynamics work in Greece. I'm sorry to say so, but we're very traditional. And traditional means that things are covered up. We have 3 languages, 2 languages, whatever, hidden curricula here, hidden something there, and who has access to whom and whatever. And this plays still a role in Greece. Given the crisis and the effects, the limited finances, you don't find sociologists. They left. They're outside of Greece. And why they're outside of Greece? Because the main idea in Greece is everything is give and take politics and everything is corruption, so why do I stay here? 300,000 people left Greece, most of them graduates from Greek universities. So to answer this question, you have to see the international labor, how you say this? Division of they have to see the international division of labor, how this is organized, what happens to Greece. We have no answer why we have so limited finances. If the new generation is the future, why do we put 3.5 of GDP in education and not 5.5 or 10? So there are other politics involved. So we have to do a lot of personal effort and institutional effort through the societies. There is no other way. And with the students and the student movement, what the University of Crete is doing with the activism and things like this. So my proposition is, and I finish because maybe I talk too much, is set up blog spots on internet. Give students to write an essay, make them win a book, I don't know what. I just heard the publishing house is doing that in Germany. Young students at primary or secondary education write a small essay about a writer, and maybe they win a book or something. Blogspot gives students the time to think, to write, to publish, to, cultivate a simple magazine. But the question then is, who is going to do it? We are a bit old here to do, maybe. We see. But maybe it comes out from this very interesting forum that we want to do something like that. Or podcasts or something. There are enough crazy people among sociologists who would like to do this. Thank you.
Maybe I missed it, but in my own experience, there are two very serious problems for our universities. One is that we don't have libraries, period. And the second is that they are not required the knowledge of English. If you read, I faced this problem for many years. You know, I had to tell them what other people said, but they never had the opportunity to read the real source, you see, because there are no libraries. For all of us who have an international experience, this is really a very bad thing. I recall visiting Cornell University, and with a friend of mine went to the library to get a book. And I said to the lady there in the entrance, I mean, this is beautiful library. And she said to me, no, sir, this is not the library. This is only library for Eastern cultures. 5 floors, only for library for Eastern cultures. So, the University of Athens has no library. We had the graduate program and there is one floor, very small floor with some books, and the graduate students call it the library. I mean, this is a very serious problem, in my opinion, that has to be faced sooner or later.
Just a short comment on what you said. I agree that EU systems are very different, education systems, but on the other hand, we have, this political demand for excellence. I try to combine with your question with excellence, that we have to meet specific criteria. All countries, all universities have to adapt, to be more competitive, more measurable, and this is also the experience that we had from the evaluation process, that we really had to measure everything. I find it ironical that, the evaluation was negative for our department, but the argument was exactly the opposite from what I heard from you, Christina. You said that you are too much, they said you are too much social problems oriented. Well, to us, it was exactly the opposite. Yeah, you are not focused on social problems. So suddenly we just added, courses of social problems the other day, but the criteria are still not clear after so much debate and so much discussion, and so the criteria under which we are evaluated by several external committees whatsoever are still not clear. So. I think the sociology in department at the Aegean is a very small department. I heard from Professor Kanzara you have almost 160 courses, while we have 70. We have half the professors, but still, for a small department, yes, we have avoided too much bureaucracy because of this spreading on different islands. We had to, there was now no other option. We had to create a technological network and infrastructure to communicate with each other because we are so spread on the islands. Yes, we don't have this big administrative problem, but still there are severe problems of underfunding, and especially in the period of the austerity crisis, there were people being dismissed and so on. And still we have to catch up with the Pantheon University or the central universities, while on the other hand trying to get a positive evaluation and Europeanize and get the excellence criteria. But all that, in this surrounding of underfunding of people from the government, as I said before, talking so negatively about sociology, they abolished the course from schools. So it's really an open, aggressive, move. So yeah, it's a puzzle of things and processes that happen at the same time. Yeah, that's it for now.
Just a very short comment, just to add to what has been said. Since we also have this post-traumatic syndrome, we have passed our accreditation in last March. I think it links a little bit with many of the questions that were raised here. For example, for me, okay, the evaluation process has a positive impact in calling us to organize our work, to think about how we organize the department, etc., etc. My main problem is that the evaluation process and the criteria that underline the evaluation process is very agency-oriented, if you want me to say. The questions are what we are doing, and the infrastructure stays out of sight, in fact. It is not even a criterion. Okay, you say how you organize a student-centered learning process when you might not have enough classrooms to host your students, etc. And here comes maybe a part of a positive answer to your question, to your provocative question. Each one of us had to think in which way we differ from the others. It was something to prove. Why, the purpose of the department, why should exist a department in the University of Athens or in every university? We have to think where we contribute, what do we do that the others do not. And sometimes it might be artificial, the divide. I agree with you. And my last point is just to put a question that will be discussed tomorrow, I'm sure, about public sociology and the marginalization of sociology in Greece. I think there is also an aspect of ideology. It was also an ideological battle in very traditional political terms, and I'm not talking about party politics, I'm talking about how sociology is perceived in the public discourse, etc. And there we could not really defend sociology. The result is that sociology is expulsed from high school. They don't have 1 hour of sociology in upper high school in Greece, while it was one of the courses, for the exams to enter the university, at least social science departments.
Well, also, I would like to make a short comment. Just to give you an idea, I asked my students at the first semester at law school whether they have ever heard the name of Max Weber in their life, and nobody knew this name. I think it's a shame for somebody who shares European culture not even to know the name of such an important theory. And there I could see that this is a work to do in the European level, definitively. That there's also the question of language. To which language should we publish? To which periodical? This, I think, we could have discussed, because this is a common European civilization we are sharing. And our European Sociological Association could really organize a systematic dialogue in order to come down to specific proposition on how should we be measured. Since we have to publish in our languages, at least United Kingdom is not even a member anymore. So why should we just take from them everything they have thinking of? Why shouldn't we have an own scopus, for instance? with our languages and with our references. Of course, we will come in dialogue, but to come in dialogue means that we have an identity, and European Union could also give some recognition and some programs also. And the other thing about the assessment process, also there, they had something in their minds, and I fully agree with Professor Katsara. They had a known vision, which was not so much transparent and not so much rationally expressed. Because sometimes I also felt a little bit like our colleagues look down on us in a rather colonial way, because I'm fully aware that now, for instance, there is a comeback of theory. And when we have said to them, we want to combine theory with research, because exactly like you said, and like you said, Dimitri, we want to have our own instruments like subalterns. We have the right to discuss about us, not like we used to do it in the name of a Greek speciality, but just to share our vision of also Southern Europe vision against theirs. And there was a clash, really a clash of power. This was my experience. Thank you.
I would also like to make a comment. As you have seen in my presentation, we officially, through our the collective bodies of the department, we oppose to evaluation, to quantification of criteria of evaluation in social sciences. And recently we had a crash with the rector's office about, it was like something that is called present your thesis in 3 minutes. It's a competition. Yes. So we had a large debate with the rector about this, which is maybe familiar in positive science, but not in social sciences. But this is to give you a little bit of an idea what are our main concerns. And this despite the fact, as you have seen, many of my colleagues have studied abroad. They have worked many years abroad, so they are familiar with this quantification and this publication in foreign languages, but they are not positive. They're not, they oppose, and maybe they could not do it when they were abroad, but here in the context of our department, it's, I would say that it is, the normal thing is to not to be too opposed to the quantification. So the first time I remember the evaluators came to their department, there was a sort of hostility, despite the fact they are very estimated colleagues and very friendly, but I remember that there was a certain hostility towards the evaluators, and we continue to have that position, despite the fact that our department had the best evaluation among the 3 existing departments at the time. So about what Ioanna Tsiganu asked, if the program is more flexible or rigid. For example, last year we changed our undergrad study program because we saw that the students had not a great interest in some fields. So we tried to be flexible, of course, as long as we keep the legal framework about the changes that can be done. And I would like to make a personal comment about the position of sociology in Greece. Okay, the colleagues tomorrow will speak more about the sociology in secondary school. The problem is that students in secondary school have to choose if they want to go to choose a theoretical orientation in their studies or a positive, positive orientation. Ακριβώς. Θετική, ναι. Exact. Ωραία. So the student should choose the theoretical orientation, theoretical studies, are examined for the entrance in the university in topics such as Latin, ancient Greek, history, and ecstasy, modern Greek language, etc. The last years, we see that most of the students choose the exact science orientation. Among, for example, 100 students in the secondary educational level, choose among 100 students, maybe 85 choose the exact science orientation, and only 15 choose the theoretical science orientation. And among them, most of them want to study law or psychology. The students who come to the departments of sociology are mostly those who have not succeeded in law or psychology. There are very few students who are really consciously choosing social sciences and sociology. That's all. Thank you very much.
That is not the problem, because I wanted to study mathematics, and then I thought I'm not good enough, so I went to English. But I did write English good, and I ended up political sciences. I studied sociology, so...
Yes.
Thank you so much for this discussion is so interesting, and I'm learning so much about the Greek sociology. I was thinking about this English, and I always remember this story at the University Institute of Lisbon. The research management service decided to ask the researchers about their main research outputs, and one of the questions of the survey was, do you usually publish in which language? And the options were English and other. So Portuguese was not there, or any other language. This was like maybe 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I think things changed a little bit, because there is a lot of discussion in Portugal about this English in publishing in high impact factor journals, all these, and things changed a little bit. But just to say, of course, as an European Sociological Association, we do some work. For instance, during this mandate, we discussed the Declaration on Research Assessment, DORA. It's a movement started in San Francisco, not by social scientists, but by exact researchers from natural sciences, but now it's a global movement. And well, we thought that it was very important for us to subscribe and to defend these values, because it's not against considering these articles published in high impact factor journals, but to consider other research outcomes, namely qualitative research outcomes, which are so important and need to be considered in the evaluation of researchers and institutions. But what I was thinking, what I was saying also before, is that we have a limited power as well. So I think as an European Sociological Association we can do something, but this is very limited if we don't work also at the national and local levels. It's very important that the national sociological associations, the departments, the universities promote debates on these issues, to really, you know, make the community aware. Only working from below the sociological community, from my perspective, we can be more effective in terms of imposing a new model for research evaluation. So we try to encourage, but we work on many fields. I think there is a lot of work to do to all of us, to all the national associations, and also research centers, etc. And that's it. I think just a final note, we also have the same problem in Portugal about the students that don't succeed in law, economics, or psychology. And I was wondering if this is connected also with the difficulty of sociology engaging publicly. Because, for instance, in Portugal, when you have any hot topic to discuss in the media, for instance, you always have a lawyer or an economist. They are authorized voices to speak about issues, and not sociologists. So the public visibility of sociology might have, as also Michael Barrois said, could change a little bit this representation of sociology to the students that, you know, just go to sociology because they cannot make it in other disciplines. Just some thoughts. Thank you very much.
And may I say something as well? It will be the final thing I'm going to say, is that I understand we have this kind of experience not only in sociology departments, but in all departments, in Greece at least, and also in the National Center for Social Research. The two institutes of the National Center for Social Research were undergone evaluation last year, but the evaluators are expat Greeks. I mean, academics, Greek academics who come from abroad. So in most of the cases, and I just like to say that they are not aware of the Greek system, or they've forgotten the Greek system suddenly when they went abroad. They don't pay attention to the lack of infrastructures. Maybe these are the guidelines, but I think that there is a problem because there is not a strict guideline and strict criteria to be followed, and this is a problem, I think, because there isn't any unified criteria system, or they are interpreted different by different groups, by different evaluator groups, and this is a problem for all of us. So I think it is a pattern which creates problems in the evaluation, and when you have an evaluation next time, it's not the same group you evaluated the previous time, it's a new group of experts. That's what we faced. But I'm only going to be very provocative until the end, saying one thing. Dimitris spoke about exceptionalism, which is, I find, a very interesting word. We played with exceptionalism for many years, I mean, we thought about it for many, many years. And I think when we speak about sociology in Southern Europe, it's a double exceptionalism. I mean, Southern Europe is an exceptional case compared to the Northern, the other, and then sociology and social science is exceptional compared to the other sciences. So I think if we play too long this song, I think we will be weaker and weaker as sociologists, especially working on in Southern Europe, because I believe that the sociologists have left a lot of space for other scientists to come in and take over a lot of research, sociological research. And we can see this very easily in projects, in European funded projects. A lot of people doing sociological research. or social science research while not being social scientists, because they believe that social science is easy to do. And I'm very sad to say that, because I have experience, I have many experiences on that. And this is also coming out also from the experience from the AIDS 2020 evaluations. And this Alliance for Social Science and Humanities is a pressure group that Lydia said that is being, this alliance has been formed a decade ago, 8 years ago, just to put more pressure to the European Commission to fund social science and the humanities. What comes out from the reports is that a lot of institutions go and get that funding while not being social scientists. And these are money for social science research. And I think this is a fault of sociologists, not of the other sciences, because they've left for quite some time, I would say at least for 2 decades, the room for other institutions more applied to play to this terrain. And I think this is a kind of an issue which has to be reconsidered from social scientists and sociologists in particular, in order to gain the lost ground in the public sphere as being researchers, social science researchers, to reinstate themselves, having a good knowledge of theory, but a good knowledge of research as well. Not only of research, but of research and of theory. And that's I think, the challenge. Yeah.
Just to make clear, I was critical towards this. To be clear, I was critical towards this dominant perception of a Greek or Southern exceptionalism. It is the foundation of Greek sociology, and I don't want to say more details on this. And we have suffered from this exceptionalism. Let's.
Okay, where is the analysis? Who has the power to say what when we have no access to newspapers if you don't know anybody who works there? I tried to publish something during the pandemic without using any in-between person, only my title. Did I publish? No. Was it interesting? Very. Why? Did you know me? Very simple. So there is a power structure within the power structure that makes this, I don't follow this debate about exceptionalism or not exceptionalism, that does not make it possible to take some subjects or to do projects or to apply. The infrastructure, for example, at Pantheon University does not make it so much possible to apply for research grants. So how this is my fault as a sociologist? Yeah, so I think we have to put in the picture many factors. I talked about Dracula's dragons, fairy tales, to see we have maybe to make a project. Why in Greece this and that and the other? That's my idea. Thank you.
Ioanna Tsiganu, you have a question or a remark?
I would like to say a few things about publications. I think all of us, we were wondering what to include to the measurement under the name of citation index, and which are the databases of references to our work, to get the information, to place the numbers in the correct side of the evaluation form. I think I have realized that now there is a resistance movement which has started from Germany against this requirement to publish and publish and publish, which I think is has come from the science field, where people are exhausted, scientists are exhausted in order to deliver papers in a very short period. So I think that this is a gain which should be promoted. And the other thing I would like to say about public sociology, because we have discussed it during the seventh conference, the national conference, there was a special panel, the main panel about public sociology and how to generate discussions with sociologists from below. And this is a very difficult task when you have a government and an environment where sociologists are not called forth to express their opinions on social problems, and other disciplines are considered officially that they are more relevant to social problems solving. And on several occasions we have promoted our claims, and it's not in an effort to complain, but I can't see how, let's say, the social problems which were connected to the pandemic impact on social lives should be treated by economists or scientists from natural sciences and not by sociologists. And the third thing I would like to say is that there is a hierarchy of professions, although it's bad to refer to that. And sociology and sociologists, at least in this country, to the hierarchy of professions, they are not numbered among the higher positions in this hierarchy of professions. To my experience, when I was a law student and I had not the chance to study sociology in Greece because there were not sociology departments when I graduated. So I went abroad and I studied sociology at the LSE. And when I came back here and tried to make my own research on a very difficult issue, I had to persuade psychiatrists and lawyers what sociological research is about. Because my field has to do with policemen as well, when I was saying that I am a researcher, they were saying, what, a policeman, a criminologist? They said, where do you belong to the police forces of the country? Because the people are not yet ready to comprehend what sociology is about. And this is a challenge for us in this country. I don't know what's happening in other countries, but the scope of our discipline and what we have to offer, it's not very well known by the general public.
Thought of contesting discussion, taking the discussion much further, I feel that those people who are less powerful have to try more to be heard. This is true. So I don't think that there is a conspiracy against social scientists. I truly don't believe that, because social scientists can say a lot of things. There are some people saying, okay, Scopus journals, Scopus, a lesser number of social science journals are in Scopus. It's a large number of journals which are in Scopus, as in the natural sciences. So there isn't any problem for people to publish in Scopus. And of course, it's more difficult. Lesser number of publications can be published. But I think this is not a different word. That's why I said that exceptionalism in social sciences doesn't mean that social scientists don't publish in Scopus journals, because they can prepare a lesser number of publications. That's true compared to the natural scientists, but no, it's not the case. So I think that's why I'm talking about exceptionalism. I'm not saying that there isn't any deficiency in social science, I mean, different way of understanding things. But being so much critical to the system, we have to be critical, and I'm one of the critical people who believe in favor of criticism in order to improve things. But I don't give up in this struggle and the conflict to say that social scientists are here. And I think in case of Greece, the good thing out of the crisis is that Greece, for example, as a case study, was more famous, so people could publish more on Greece, talking about Greece because of the crisis compared to before. When I'm still writing on Greece, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, people didn't care about Greece. Said, okay, an exceptional case, we don't care about that. Now people are, speaking about Greece, not about Portugal or Spain, because they publish in their own languages and they have an audience. Because Greek language is, and literature is more limited compared to the other countries, okay? So there's no comparison. That's why I'm saying that. But Greece, because of this very big, bad experience, long way of experience, at least we cannot say that people do not care about Greece. People care more now than in the past. So there is a stake there for people to publish. That's why I'm saying that sociologists, especially in Greece, have left so much space, and they didn't take advantage of their language. I mean, Google Scholar collects citations from Finnish, from from languages with a lesser number of people, Finnish or Norwegian, Norwegian language. And then the Greek is not cited by Google Scholar. There, for example, the social science research, the journal that EKE publishes, has been widely accepted, of course with a lot of work by the people of the editorial board, but it's accepted for many years now. It's created a legacy on that. So why not other social science journals do not follow this path to become more visible, not internationalized? I'm not speaking about internationalization, I'm speaking becoming more visible. I think that's the argument. In favor of visibility instead of this fake internationalization, which is publish or perish. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the other thing, becoming more and more visible. And the less visible social science and sociology is in Greece, the worse for its future.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, let me only say that tomorrow we'll start at 10 o'clock for those who would like to join.